speaking of Mamba mentality, has nothing to do with the NFL, but NFL free agency has not technically started. It's started, right? It's kind of like a weird period where they can't sign anybody until tomorrow at noon.
Right.
But it's like that early NBA free agency signing day where everybody knows what's going to happen already. All the deals are already made. It's just putting the pen to the paper kind of situation.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing I was reminded of was the when the NBA used to do like the waiting period.
I like the word moratorium.
Moratorium.
That's use that. Yeah,
that's a great word.
I wanted to throw that one out there.
The moratorium.
I actually wrote it down and put a star beside it on my notes. So, yeah, we're in the moratorium, and yeah, a lot of crazy stuff going on. I got a big list of. I mainly just wrote them all down, but I have some of my favorites, and then I want to hear the ones that you like so far.
Yeah. So what are some signings you like? What are some that head scratchers?
The first two, well, my favorite one so far is Baker going back to the Bucks. I've always been a fan of Baker. I don't know what it is. I wasn't a big fan of him at OU, but I wanted to see him do well. And I felt like he had kind of like 2 good years with the Browns, and then it just kind of sputtered out. It wasn't working organizationally and with him anymore. And then he kind of had a throw in the bucket year with the Panthers and
/ Rams.
That pretty good game with the Rams, like 1 or 2 good games, wasn't it?
Yeah, he like got traded on a Tuesday and showed up and played on Thursday. It was something weird like that where he had 2 or 3 days of prep is all, and like, all right, let's do it.
And then still got in there and kind of balled out. But he's going to be playing with my boy Mike Evans, locked him in for another 2 years. And so I think they're going to do well. I mean, they won their division last year, right? So
yes, sir.
A couple years removed from winning a Super Bowl. That was with Brady, but they've had a, solid defense. That's my favorite one so far. And then the big, I don't know if I'd call it a question mark. It was kind of weird. Was the Saquon Barkley to the Eagles?
That one's definitely a weird. When he did the jersey switch on Instagram, he posted that. Like that one looks wrong. It looks wrong. It just looks wrong in the Eagles jersey. That, and then for some reason, like in my mind, I don't know if he was more of like a pro style running back at Penn State, but for sure with the Giants, like the Eagles offense with Hurts, and if they still have Brown, right? AJ
Brown.
Yeah.
And then they got Devontae Smith. Like they seem like they have like a 2 to 3 running back kind of offense where they're going to have 3 or 4 guys or 2 or 3 guys who have like 500 yards in a season. And they don't need like a full-time every down back.
They definitely have been more committed. They had DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell was one of the others. And
Gainwell.
Yeah, they're definitely more of a
Swift just signed with the Bears.
Team. So the Bears, he did. Yeah, the running back switcheroo has been just strange to me of almost like I'm supposed to what?
I don't even understand the market now. Like I think the last big contract I remember tuning into was Zeke's first big deal.
Right. The running back one definitely threw me off.
Yeah.
Because like everyone's gone now. Everyone's switching teams. Like the big head scratcher for me of the signings was Aaron Jones in Minnesota. Because Minnesota loses Kirk Cousins. He just signed today. 1 year, so a 1 year deal for $7 million.
Yeah.
Like you didn't bring Cousins back. You're not, I don't think you're going to contend this year. So what are you doing signing a 30-year-old running back to a 1 year deal? That just, I don't know, man. That one just weirded me out a little bit of like, okay, that doesn't make any sense at all.
I'm not extremely tuned into the Vikings, but I mean, they were 7-10 last year.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the playoffs 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, but if you lose the quarterback, because they lost Cousins to Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, and then Cousins, I didn't realize he had a torn Achilles.
Yes.
And he's 36 years old.
Those are the two things that I think Minnesota did not want to guarantee a lot of the deal.
Yeah.
Which is, understandable, but also, okay, what are you going to do? And Atlanta's been missing the quarterback. Well, if you're a fantasy football player, as I like to proclaim, it's my
fantasy yourself.
As I fantasy myself, what is it? Who said it? They said an egregious misuse of assets was one of the things they were saying with the Falcons, because you had Kyle Pitts, who they didn't throw the ball to, Drake London, a top 10 receiver they drafted. Receiver they drafted didn't throw the ball to. Bijan, they put him in a weird committee for most of the season. It just seemed like they were not. Yeah, and then finally they turn him loose after the season's kind of over. And you're just like, okay, what were you doing the first half of the year? It seemed like their quarterback play was just trash. So I understand. I think it's an overpay. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I do too.
So that one's, I would say not my favorite, but is most interesting. Just the fact also the Cowboys have signed literally nobody is.
I think they signed a long snapper. I saw that.
They re-signed their long snapper. They didn't even sign him. They re-signed him. Just like, what are you dead?
So for the Falcons, is this their first real quarterback since Matt Ryan?
Has to be.
Yeah, because he's only 3 or 4 years removed.
Yeah. MVP season, then went straight downhill. The signing I really liked. I liked Josh Jacobs to the Packers. Very similar numbers to
it was like
Aaron
a 1
Jones.
year, $8 million deal, wasn't it?
I think they got him. No, I think they did 4 for $48.
Oh, wow. That's a bigger deal.
Yeah. Hang on, let me see.
So he's going to be...
number. Yeah, 4 for $48. It was the exact same deal Aaron Jones got 3 or 4 years ago, or something similar to that.
They finished the year 5-2 or something like that. Beat Cowboys in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got hot at the end. And they got younger running back. But the quarterback moves. Our boy Jameis with the Browns.
I saw that.
I like it.
That crab boy going out there to Cleveland. Hey, I like Jameis. I didn't realize he'd been with the Saints for 4 years.
I didn't either, because he started half the time. That's the thing.
Yeah, because he was Drew Brees still there when he first got there? He
had to be, right?
Yeah, I think so. First couple years, because he just retired. I want to see him do well. I think what's his face Watson is injury prone, and I think James is just good to have in the locker room.
He seems like a guy I would love to have in my locker room, just because you never know what he's going to say. Is it going to be inspirational? Is it going to be weird? Is it going to be stupid? And you're just like, now we're going to eat a W. You're like,
did you see the video of him preaching?
I did.
Or he's
like holding his kid.
He might just be testifying. I don't know if he's preaching.
Testify. There is power in the name of Jameis. Throw to the wrong team.
Sam Darnold to the Vikings.
They'll draft somebody.
I don't understand their team. Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's the only way that makes sense to me is that's backup. They're got to draft JJ McCarthy or Penix from Washington. It's the only otherwise it makes no sense to me, like you were saying.
I didn't think about it like that. Tyrod Taylor to the Jets.
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining Justin Jefferson like as Sam Darnold throws another ball at his feet, just like,
oh yeah, no, that's
I saw starting to tweak out a little bit.
There were some snippets of Justin Jefferson like watching Sam Darnold walk to the huddle. It's like, oh man, who were the other? We didn't talk about Russell Wilson.
Oh my goodness, that guy.
You see that video I sent y'all on Instagram?
Or he's running backwards and barely breaking a sweat. Just got to put the work in. He's like the white mamba. If Kobe's the black mamba, he's like the white mamba.
Yeah. I don't Maybe he'll be good for the Steelers. I mean,
can't be worse than what they had.
They've been 8-8 or 9-7 or 9-8 for like 10 years straight. They always find a way to have a winning season and make it into the playoffs.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't understand. And
I would love to hire Mike Tomlin as my coach if I had talent, because I'm like, man, if you can get that trash roster with diva receivers to 9-8 every year, you're pretty dang good. You're pretty dang good.
He's the longest tenured coach in the NFL right now.
Him and Harbaugh, right? Because like they've been at Harbaugh's second, but like they feel like they've been battling for a decade.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who was coaching where sometime last week, and I looked that up, and his record was like 114 and something. I was like, man, I didn't realize he's been there for like 12, 13 seasons, something like that. So,
do you think anyone made a big enough splash to make them contenders? Like, do you think Atlanta's a contender now? Do you think anyone signed anyone that really, like Derrick Henry to the Ravens? Like, yeah, what do you think about it? Did anyone like move up a tier in your mind?
I think the biggest one for me, which he didn't change teams, was the Chris Jones going back to the Chiefs. I think they kind of signed up their Mahomes on defense. I mean, my favorite one, I think the one that, if I had to pick one that moved the needle, I'd either say Derrick Henry to the Ravens. I liked Joe Mixon to the Texans.
Oh, I did too. The Texans
he got traded there. I was big on I liked watching that Singletary guy play.
He was good.
Yeah, but he now he's going to the Giants. So
I was about to say, and then the Texans signed Daniel Hunter, the edge, I think, who played for Minnesota last. So they're going all in.